No, that's not clicker.
This space bar it.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I'm looking at international students, I almost look for grammatical errors to almost certify
Validate.
that it's
Really them.
legitimate. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of celebrate those because I'm kind of more focused on the content versus that actual
Yes.
grammatical error, and it makes it more legitimate in my mind. Yeah. But one of the things I found is that a lot of international students come from better schools than maybe some of these United States schools.
Yes.
So they come in with a higher level competency as maybe
Yes.
some of the domestic
It's true.
students. Yeah. All right.
Ready? First of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Monica Fine, and I actually teach at Coastal Carolina University. We also have one of our co-authors is also at Coastal Carolina University. But I actually got my PhD here at FAU, very close to us here. And getting my PhD, I met Chad playing volleyball on the beach, I guess in 2007, 2008. So it's been a while. So that's where we came up with this idea to present here on financial literacy, which I'm sure another problem that we see teaching in the university levels. So first of all, our title is Addressing Perception, Attitude, and Knowledge of Financial Literacy. So the reason why we got into this was because there are financial resources provided at college campuses, and at Coastal we don't actually have one single course dedicated to financial literacy. Here at Lynn University, Chad will speak about their course that is dedicated. Do you have one at FAU?
I'm not sure. It's not
Do you have one
in the
at
field.
Murray?
Don't think so.
So don't think so. So most schools don't, and also in the high school level, if anybody's from Jersey or Virginia, they've actually passed that recently. I think in the last couple of years that they are required, all high school students, to take a financial literacy course. I did not take a financial literacy course growing up in the state of Iowa, but they are doing some things at the high school level to require it. So we wanted to see what we can do to educate our students. This actually came about from a MBA student that both of her parents, they didn't go to college, and she is actually working at Amazon in Tampa. And she came to me about a year into the MBA program and said, I have no idea. These loans, I don't know how to pay them. I don't know what's a good interest rate. Credit cards, I have a ton of credit card debt. I have no idea what to do. And I think, wow, I'm going to work at Amazon and I'm going to make $70,000 a year. This is going to be amazing. And she's like, now I'm seeing that my student loans, I thought maybe my dad would pay them off or anything, but now my dad remarried and has like 3 kids. So what am I going to do? He has a whole new family, so what am I going to do? So she said, I want to research what students think about that. So we started her research looking at, what is it, lack of resources? Is it lack of motivation? They're just not interested in this topic at all. They don't care. Is it a lack of confidence? We had a presentation yesterday at the conference here, and he presented on math anxiety and how students have a lot of math anxiety and they just don't know what to do. So they're afraid to answer it. They're afraid to talk about it to their friends about financial literacy and then just overall knowledge. So the motivation and kind of the importance of this topic. So it's important for students, it's important for parents. A lot of parents now are signing these these parent loans and thinking that we have to do this for our students or our daughters and sons to go to school. But then financially, when they want to retire, they're now paying all these loans for their students or their children. So also, and it's important for the university because it is something that as a university we need to be teaching, and we're not teaching right now. Heavy reliance on loans, including those student parent loans. The average starting salary for college grads in 2015 is said to be $45,000. So if you go to a school like Lynn University, which even Coastal Carolina University, our tuition and board for out of state, which most of 50% of our students are out of state, is around $33,000. So for a state school, we're still rather expensive. So, and I don't know what's the Lynn.
Yeah, room and board included, I think we're about 47. Yeah.
So.
Tired.
So large student debt can impact overall financial success and really have an impact far greater than the 4 years that you're in college. It can last for 20 plus years after that and have an impact not only on you but on your family, even on your retirement later. So saving habits of college students, of course, we actually saw in this study that they were actually saving, and maybe not saving, but they knew that they should be saving a little bit more than we had originally thought. So Americans demonstrate relatively low levels of financial literacy and have difficult applying financial decision-making skills to real-life situations. So, important statistics, U.S. ranked at best 8th and at worst 12th out of 18 countries in financial literacy, and that was a sample of over 29,000 students. Teens in the United States scored slightly below the average global mean of students, so more than 100 points lower than Shanghai, China, which ranked first with a score of over 600. So 39% of student borrowers graduated with an unmanageable level of student debt.
Yeah, that's pretty scary. So when we look at the literature and we kind of see what's out there, first thing we want to do is to define what is financial literacy. And we kind of broke it down to how money works in the world, how we earn money, how we save money, and how we invest money, right? And the bigger picture is how do we manage that money? And when we look at high school and college students, typically they don't have money to manage, to invest, or to really deal with. So it's kind of a tricky situation. And in this particular survey, the bulk of the people asked said that they would, in fact, take a course, if offered, that addressed financial literacy. When we look at the different levels, when we look at the socioeconomic background of families, this review talked about that the lower levels of income definitely had an impact, but it's our perception that the opposite side of the spectrum is also true. That maybe students that come from more well-to-do families might not necessarily understand that value of what they're spending and what they're spending it on. So we kind of see it as a bigger problem than just one specific level. And then one of the things we talked about here is that most undergraduate students don't think about retirement. They don't think about mortgages. They don't necessarily think about investing and big purchases. And just like Dr. Fine said, here at Lynn University, we actually took our mathematic courses that are required courses, so your calculus, your algebras, and we said, how do we address this issue, so to say? So from this class here, this is called financial literacy. There is a number of topics they address, including banking, budgeting, credit cards, apartment leasing, buying or leasing an automobile, insurance and taxes, introduction to investing, the time value of money, buying your first home, and inflation. So these are things that we made a conscious effort to address. But what we're finding in the lit review is that it might not be enough, that we need to do more. And like Monica mentioned, even in the high school, some states are recognizing that this is an issue, so they're making it a required course for high school students. So when we look at the levels of motivation at the high school and the college level for students, we think about that stigma associated with not being good at math. How many people know somebody, when we talk about math, they say, oh, I'm not good at math, or you figure out the tip, or that's not my forte. And so when we associate the two, we get the negative side effects of that stigma associated with that financial understanding. And so that tends to be an issue. But it's not an issue just here in the United States. Research shows that Australia and Japan and Korea also face some of these issues, even though it's not that entire region because China ranked quite high. But this is something that is worldwide. And then when we look at some of the decision making, some of these harmful decisions can have long-term effects, such as making bad investments or poor credit or not understanding how you pay these student loans off. And like you said, right? Even 20 years down the road, students still could be facing the same issues of dealing with this debt. So I don't know about you, but I have about 3 credit cards, so I'm above the average. My balance is pretty good. When we look at zero debt coming out of college, this is something that's increasingly not as apparent. Most people come out of school with some sort of debt, especially if you're getting multiple degrees. Maybe your family is prepared for an undergraduate degree, but at the same time, if you want to continue your education, perhaps you need to take out those loans on your own. And then when we look at the feelings and how in control they feel about their finances, we're not getting the best feedback as well. So confidence in their future earnings, this is something that we address here as well. We look at an assessment tool. It's actually an app that we use with our iPad initiative, and we go through the lifestyle assessment of the students. Cell phone bills, student loans, car payments, mortgages, and we try and get a grip on what they currently have or what they kind of project to have expense-wise. And then we make a correlation between the career that you choose and the actual paycheck that you're going to receive within that career. So the question being, is that degree going to make you enough money to not only pay off your student loans, but any other investments that you also made? And then we have a number of research questions.
So the research questions, I'll actually skip to the next slide.
Sure.
So the conceptual model has basically the research questions too. So our dependent variable is college students' perception of financial literacy. We look at 3 types of characteristics. So the student characteristics, personal financial characteristics, financial knowledge and characteristics, and then demographics. So here we look at motivation, we look at attitude towards saving, the number of credit cards the students have, knowledge of credit score, some of them had no clue when we asked them, credit card debt that they have, also loan amount, which a lot of students again didn't know even what their current loan amount was or what they might owe after 4 years. Then looking at knowledge of types of loans, what a credit score is and its importance, knowledge and interest to loans, mutual funds, 401ks, and then previous financial literacy courses taken in high school, so if you did have that high school course. And we did try to look at students, we tried to look at freshmen is what we were originally doing, but we did this research during the summer. There aren't a whole lot of freshmen around, especially at our university, as most of our students take courses online during the summer. So demographics, we looked at age, gender, race, if they were a first generation college student, and then their parents' highest level of education. So survey development, we had 36 questions, 3 open-ended questions at the end. It was a 5-point Likert scale, and if you open up our survey, you can see this is kind of what our survey looks like. Yeah, it's there, the Chrome, yeah. So this is what our survey looks like.
Fast, too slow.
We put the demographic questions mostly at the end.
Taxes, insurance.
We did ask what college they were from to see if there were differences in business versus education versus humanities, things like that. So moving on, the measurement section, which we developed and worked very hard at the measurement section. The first one, our dependent variable. Yeah, number 2, yeah. So our dependent variable, we had 10 items, and it's from Hadzik and Peturik, 2014. So I perceive financial literacy to be an important topic. My financial knowledge has grown since starting college. I'm motivated to learn about financial literacy. At this point in my life, I don't feel the need to worry about my personal finances. How do you feel about your current financial situation? You're actively aware what you're spending your money on. Do you feel this is your level of financial stress today? What do you feel that stress is? Positive attitude towards saving money, and I enjoy using credit cards. I feel heavy use of credit cards results in heavy debt. Okay, so those were our measures for our dependent variable. And I'll go over quickly, this was the overall knowledge questions. So we had 7 items there. I'll keep And then motivation, of course, you're motivated to learn. 7 questions there. And then attitude towards financial literacy. Keep going. And then our data, our sample, 82 was the sample size at this current point, and that's just Coastal Carolina University students, and that was done this summer, late summer, about August time. So demographic-wise, we had the different colleges. Most of them were from the College of Science and the College of Business. We looked at age. Again, the students that helped me collect this were MBA students, so you'll see the age is a little bit higher than we would have expected normally. Then demographics, your upcoming year. So a lot of seniors, freshmen, juniors, and then we had quite a few, 61% female and 39% male. Highest degree completed by the individual who raised you, so no degree, associate's degree, bachelor's degree, some were not sure. And then did you take a personal finance course in high school? 28% said yes, and 73% said no. Which I know that Jersey and Virginia just passed those recently, but most of our students are from the Northeast, so I would see that to increase as the years go on. So the best option that reflects your credit score, I do not have credit, so 31%. I'm not sure what this is, 24%, and then you'll see some of them are a few, 650 to 700, 14% was the highest there. So conclusions, at this point, basically we would like to get a few other universities. Of course, Lynn University is on board. We're going to send this amazing survey out that we've done a lot of research on the measures part. So we're going to send that out to Lynn University and maybe a couple other universities and kind of compare, and also compare since Lynn University does have a required personal finance course and Coastal does not at this point. So limitations, future research, only one university studied at this point. Many students are not forced to make these decisions. Dr. Barr and I were actually speaking before, especially looking at student athletes. They don't have that maybe extra time to have a part-time job, so they even are maybe less financially literate because of those reasons. A lot of our MBA students have part-time jobs, but we have a lot of athletes that are MBA students as well. The quarterback for our team is actually an MBA student of mine, and he says it all the time. He's like, what am I going to do after all I've done is play football? And of course he hopes to get drafted, but if he doesn't, he has 0 work experience other than football, which football is a great work experience, but he didn't have to make those decisions all the time. So we'd like to, again, bring on a couple other universities and also look at not only the student side, but the consumer side as well. Questions?
Just a suggestion, could you send your sample to West Virginia where my daughter?
How old's your daughter?
She's 23.
I was actually, I actually played volleyball after the conference yesterday, and one of our mutual good friends, his daughter is a freshman at Florida State, and he said the same thing. He's like, do you want to give that presentation to my 18-year-old that's at Florida State her first year? Because she just thinks I'm the money man, that I can just send her, and pay for everything, and he's thinking, he's in commercial insurance, he's thinking, how many more clients do I have to get to increase and pay $6,000 extra a semester for my 18-year-old daughter, so she's okay and she can play she plays beach volleyball. So yeah, maybe we could work something out.
I think a father's life can be categorized into 2 different categories. One is having a beer with your buddies when you're young, and the other one is dishing the money out later on in life. So it's really interesting what you've done.
Rachel, do you have any product?
I think Kevin.
Well, it just occurred to me the whole time you did your presentation. It was resonating with me. I get it, and it occurred to me I wonder if these students who don't know what their credit score is, they don't know their interest rate, I wonder if they know what their GPA is.
No.
If they're a student athlete, they probably.
If they're a student athlete, they probably
Yes,
do.
Probably do.
But otherwise, I think, there's an avoidance there. They just rather not know about this big ball of debt that's accumulating, or they're drinking that cup of coffee they paid $4 for with student loan money that they'll be paying interest. And so they just, some things they don't want to know. And I ask this because I know some students come to me asking me what their GPA is. And I'm like, you look it up, there it is. They don't want to look it up. They'd rather not see it. And I wonder if that's sort of what's the
Even not
function is
knowing
here.
the highest degree that the person that raised you.
Yeah, one person.
Have you
Yeah,
not
how
talked to
do you
them
not know
in the
that?
last 18 years?
Yeah.
Did you forget to speak to them about anything important? So,
Well,
yeah,
part
that
of it
would
is also the
surprise me.
millennials too, because they rely so heavily on their parents to maybe handle finances or to pay the bills, to shop their money. And they say, okay, we have an issue, I'm gonna call my mom or text my dad, and they will take care of it. And that's kind of.
I parent one of those people.
Yeah.
I hate to be contrarian here, but kids, they learn from their parents. And today's parents, are they known to be fiscally responsible or knowledgeable? Because all this time I've been reading all kinds of horror stories about people, I can't believe that the average American has 2 credit cards.
That was
I'm sure that you found it in a reliable source, but my experience, I'm from New York, is that people have more like 5 to 7 of those cards.
But those are just students. So
Oh,
I agree.
It's still, I'm talking about students.
Students even?
If you count, the retail, I casually ask my students, what other kinds of cards you have, and they immediately raise, their hands, and it's amazing. So it's a number of those. But nevertheless, and Starbucks.
Starbucks
Uh,
is $8,000 over the life of a student loan. That's what on average.
So I wonder if you consider that, at some point, the learning from parents and their less than stellar behavior
Yeah.
in
But
this
there
area.
are a lot of parents that are financially responsible, and they're just not teaching those skills to their.
That's,
And part of it is because their children are not motivated to learn those, so they just think, "Hey, Dad, give me money," instead of saying, "Hey, Dad, teach me how to do this."
It's also, I think, generational. Like, for instance, a little older, my parents, they came out of the Depression. And my mother would go to the bank on Friday and put 25 cents into a Christmas club savings. And then she'd have a little folder that she'd open up and put dimes and nickels in and things like that, and save for our December holiday, Christmas. And so we saw that and understood that, but that's not happening anymore. And what goes on with parents and paying the bills is probably, we don't sit down enough and show what's going on.
Even that's an important part. Even when I was growing up, we went to the bank every Saturday and we put in $2 or $3. But now you walk into a bank and they're like, "Why are you here? What do you need? What do you want from us?" Like, there's an ATM outside. It does everything. You can deposit. You can do anything. So you don't have that personal experience too.
And the way we spend too is also different. Now with the phones where we can just tap it on the machine and pay,
Yes.
it doesn't seem
It
like
doesn't
we're
feel like
spending.
spending.
It doesn't feel
Yeah,
like it, so it makes it
exactly.
easier, and it's kind of designed that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. I totally agree that, you have to inculcate that, even at a younger age, not even college age or even high school. I remember growing up, even from 3rd grade, my parents will give us, allowance. And at the end of the month, my mom will want you to make an account. Show her, well, she's a teacher, so, teachers are, sticklers for things like that. But she will train me from 3rd grade, to account for my monthly allowance, what I did with it, the balance. And any month that I don't have balance, she will definitely, give you a lecture. She said, yeah, you shouldn't spend everything. And when that is inculcated in you at 3rd grade, you know that even when you work, don't spend everything. And I totally agree with this plastic culture that we have now. You know, there was one presentation yesterday about mobile money, you know, whereby, you know, you're just swiping that plastic, and of course they said, I enjoy using it. Everybody enjoys it. And how many people look at their credit card statement at the end of the month, you know? So yeah, it's definitely, you know, a lot of factors. But it's a good thing that at least some schools are starting that, but I think it should even be started at a younger age. There is this national, I'm thinking about their name. It's a national organization that teaches financial literacy to high school students. In fact, I even volunteered with them with Murray High
Junior
School.
achievement?
Say that again.
Junior achievement.
Junior achievement, that's it, yeah.
I was a business, high school business teacher before.
Good.
So we did
Junior-
a lot of junior.
Yes,
Good.
junior achievement. Yeah, I volunteered with them 2 years. You know, teaching Murray high school students, you know, financial literacy, and it's the program is so well designed that.
Give a packet of stuff to teach and everything to teach.
And it's like, you know, real life situations. You know, you role play and then you make decisions. So I really like that. But this is timely.
You know, I remember a few years ago I read this article in the New York Times about, it was one of those very unfortunate situations. Story of somebody working her whole life, basically, and buying finally a little house for herself and her family. And she was persuaded by the banks to keep borrowing against the value of the house. She ended up, you know, with a huge amount of debt, unable to pay back anything. The story went on and on and on. I was almost, you know, in tears, really, seriously, no joke intended. And at the end, they broke the news to the reader. What do you think was her job? A loan officer at the bank. That's part of, you know, why I asked the question before about not the young generation, but maybe the parents, their responsibilities. Thank you again very much. Okay. Next.